Watch this if your flick keeps dying in the net. Your legs aren't the problem, your chest is. Now let's talk about an advanced technique, the forehand short flick. Starting from the basics, footwork and center of gravity are crucial. When stepping in with your right leg for a short ball, your whole body weight must follow forward. Many players step in but leave their center of gravity behind. That's wrong.
但是这个还有一个细节是什么？右腿进来的时候，你整个重心，大家有没有发现？我现在是一个错误的状态，是什么状态？我的重心没有上来。我们调
So
整
how
我
do
的
you
重
get your
心能
center
够
of
完全
gravity
的
fully
上来。
forward?
其实这
This
个
is critical from the
攻
very
手转
beginning.
挑球出球
If your
的时
weight
候，这
stays
个
back
重
after
心是非
stepping
常
in,
关键
you
的。
can
我
only
上
reach
来
with
以
your
后，
arm.
有很
That
多球
drops
来
your
踩，
accuracy and
都是这样子
consistency.
的。
And on
这样子
really
你会发
short
现，
balls,
就
you
算
can't reach at all.
我重
The
心不
key
上
is
来，你会
pressing your
发现
weight
我只
forward
能
after
用
your
手。那
right
么用
leg
手
steps
整个
in.
的命中率跟稳定性都会下降，是吧？它因为什么？你再发短一点，你看这种短呀，它够不着。其实你会发现上腿是真的够不着这个球，怎么才能去把重心压上来呢？包括我们后面会讲什么一些进阶的手法上来，但是重心都是一样的。我右腿上来以后，
Tilt your chest downward toward the table. You'll see my whole body shifts forward. I don't even need to extend my arm. My hand stays in front of my body and I can already reach the ball with my weight behind it. If my chest faces forward instead of down, I can't reach at all. So remember, stepping in with the right leg alone isn't enough. Your entire center of gravity must come forward.
根本够不着球。对，这个是一个非常重点的一个点。所以大家一定要记住，不光是上右腿，其实右腿只是一方面，整个重心要上来。那么重心上来，有很多人不理解。那么现在很好的这个一个示范的一个方式，
Point your chest toward the floor and your whole body comes forward. That's the first point. Second, let's break down the forehand flick step by step, the most basic version, no fancy variations. We'll isolate each part. First, practice the hand action separately without any leg or weight movement. Watch my racket angle. The racket face shouldn't point straight ahead. It's similar to a forehand drive, but over the table you can't rotate your waist like a full drive.
来，大家看好我的板型，首先板型首先不能说正对着前方，它跟正手对攻一样，但是你台内是不是转不了腰？对吧？你不能说像对攻一样可以转腰，你可以把
You
板
can
型打开，
open the
但是正
racket
手是
face, but
转不
since
了
you
腰的
can't
情况下，
rotate your waist over the
身体
table,
稍微的
angle your
侧
body
一点。
slightly in.
大家可以看到没有？
Notice my
右
right
肩
shoulder is
可以
lower than my
我
left I
是可
press
以
in.
压进来。那么
Second
第
point,
二点，
open the
球
wrist
的
fully.
最大限度
Maximum
打
wrist
开。
extension gives you
我
a
最大限度
stable
打开有
locked
什么
position.
好处呢？
Once the racket
有的
angle
手
is
上打
set,
开
you
以后，
only need to
这
do
打
one
开
thing when
可
the
以
ball
保持
comes,
固定的
snap the
动作。
forearm forward.
那么这
Two
个时候，
steps.
我
The
们只
first
需要做
step
好
is
一点，
critical.
板型一
After
板
opening the
型
racket
OK 了，
face,
我就
push
做好这个。
forward.
来，球来了，看见没？直接收前臂，两个步骤先往前，这第一个步骤不够完整给大家看，第一个步骤，其实第一个步骤很关键。我把板型打开以后往前，证明什么？
This
我的
shows
弧
the
线
arc
能正
lifts
常的调整。
properly. Watch, the ball travels
往前
forward
弧
with a
线能出来。
natural
那么
arc.
我想把
The
球
flick
挑发
mostly
力，
borrows
可以
force
发
from
一
the
点，也有
incoming
挑战，但
ball,
是
but you
类
can
似于
add
对
power
攻
by swinging
借力，
forward
再可
and
以再发
inward.
力。
That's
那么
the
发
key
力是什么？
trajectory.
发力，
Try
往
this
身体
drill.
里面发力，
Place your
并且
left
往前
index
往
finger
里，这样
against
的
your
一个姿势。大家
forearm,
看清
open
楚，
out, then
往
feel
前
the snapping in
往里。
motion.
所以大家也可
That's
以
the
跟主任
correct
一样，
feeling.
拿你的手指，一个食指就行，左手的食指夹在这个前臂的位置，这个位置先打开，然后收的感觉，看见没？收的感觉。那么这个时候话又说回来了，有很多球友，当然我是希望大家是一片白纸。那么其实
There's a lot of
现在的
confusing
一个
advice
整
out
个
there,
一个
so
教
let
学
me
的
address
环
the
境，
biggest
一
mistake
个
I see, especially with
可以说
younger
是比较混
players or
乱。
those
什
whose
么
weight
什么
transfer
什么样
isn't
的理论，
solid.
什么样教练都
They
有。
flick
所以说
using the
我今
upper
天看到
arm,
最大的
pulling
一
the
个目
whole
的是什么？
forearm back.
尤其是小
But in the
朋友，
correct
或者说重心
technique, the
不到位的
forearm
时候，
stays still.
就是
You
我刚刚
simply
说的，喜
snap
欢用什么？
forward
知
and
道
inward.
用手，
Many people think flicking
喜欢
means
用
pulling back to fight the
用大
ball.
臂，然
Watch
后
how I
前
actually
臂。
do
大
it.
家可以看到
I
没有？
receive the
首先
ball
刚刚那个
first,
正
then
规的示范
redirect
是
it.
什么？我前臂
See
不
that?
动，我是直接往前往里收。有的是什么？拉前臂，然后去对抗这个球。很多这样的情况，认为挑球一定是要拉手去对抗。你们可以看到我更多的挑球是什么？我是有数接住再走，看见没？ 接
This
住再走，
catch
这样
then
的一
go
个命中
approach
率
gives
非
you a
常
very
高，
high
非常的
success
科学，非
rate.
常
It's
的
the proper way
专
to
业。
flick.
这就是一个
Now
正
the
确的
second
挑球。
common
所以说避
mistake.
免这
Many
个第二
players
点，
learn the
避免什么
banana
呢？
flick before
有
the
很多朋友
forehand flick.
先 都
Since the
是先
banana
接
flick
触的力，再
relies
接触
heavily on
正
the
手，脚
wrist,
打姿势
they
球，再
assume
做
the
运动。
forehand
那么
flick
现
does
在问题
too.
来了，
They try to flip the ball with their wrist or use the wrong racket angle, scooping underneath. This is exactly wrong. Watch. Whether I do a standard match-level flick or an explosive flick, the wrist is barely involved. So what does a real flick use?
有很多学生，包括球友粉丝们会认为挑球要用到手腕，恰恰相反。你看，其实我给大家做一个进阶一点的示范。你看，比方说我正常的比赛推挑，看到没？这已经是国家队级别的比赛推挑。那么我再次爆挑，啊，其实用不到手腕。真正的很
Against heavy backspin, even if you use your wrist, you can't lift the ball and there's no proper contact surface. Even if you scoop it over, it's just a setup ball for your opponent. So avoid this mistake. Open the racket face, then lock the wrist, keep it firm and fixed. The flick doesn't need wrist force. So where does the power come from? Unlike the banana flick, which uses wrist and planted stance to generate force, the forehand flick relies on combined momentum and borrowed force, your center of gravity moving forward as you step in. That's what makes it so technically demanding. To summarize, commit your full body weight forward, lock the wrist, and use your center of gravity, not your hand, to power the flick.
可以蓄力发力，但挑呢，它更多的是一种合力跟借力，所以说挑是非常有技巧、非常有难度的。所以难在哪？就是重心的运用，它要怎么呢？大家可以看一下，你看我同时
The hard part is this. At the moment of contact, you simultaneously press into the ground and drive your whole body's weight forward into the ball. Many incomplete tutorials skip this, so players never learn to integrate the weight transfer. Think about when you actually use the flick, it's during the receive. You always start from a ready position in the middle. You'd never wait already stepped in, right?
你比方说接发球，你发一个，你想接发球，我肯定是在这里先准备，对吧？你哪怕是左手，我可以偏正手，那我肯定是在中间的位置，我不可能先上去准备，对吧？那么所以
Every flick requires stepping in with your weight. You must master this before anything else. Even after serving, I reset, then step in with my weight for the flick. Too many players skip this footwork, so their flicks are inconsistent and they have no confidence. This is why many people fear the hook serve to the forehand. Without proper weight transfer, they can't flick with quality and can't recover afterward. Watch. Serve short, then give me a long ball. See. I can't recover because I committed everything without momentum. You're just flicking for the sake of flicking. Even though we're covering the most basic flick, you still need to consider recovering.
再给我一个防守长的啊！你看上旋球啊，你看我这样，你看还不了圆，发现没有？因为我已经站死了，哎，它没有一个连续的惯性，你只是为挑而挑。虽然我们讲的是一个最基本的挑，但是你还是要考虑到。
Every technique exists to serve your overall game. You never train skills in isolation. Training is always for match play, whether you're amateur or professional. Watch when I step in with momentum, the flick flows naturally. That's why I emphasize adding weight transfer and borrowing force. It ensures recovery and consistency. What does consistency mean? Stable quality, stable success rate, high percentage on the table. Let me summarize. Step in with your weight, open the wrist fully.
为什么要同时去借力？就是因为后面的一个合理性，然后我们挑球的一个稳定性，还有一个什么是稳定性？我有稳定的质量、稳定的数量，上台率高，这叫稳定。那么怎么稳定？再给大家总结一下：上重心，手腕打开。
What does fully open mean? Your forehand racket face points 100% straight at the wall in front of you, then just snap forward. That's the hand position. Second, as I said, the leg and hand must move simultaneously. That's how you combine forces. Watch. Same hand effort, but if I've already planted my foot, the ball loses power, loses speed, and everything feels exhausting. With proper timing, it's effortless.
整个手会很累，看，一定要轻松。对。